We're in Lemoyne. There's a chemtrail over there trying to block our adamantine. You can see a cross trail right there. You see what I'm saying? Like
adamantium.
They cross hatch because they're trying to block our adamantine particles that are coming from the sun, and as well as the cosmic rays. For those of you that don't know, the sun has been very active with what is it called? Releasing its energies, its sunbursts or whatever.
CMEs and solar flares.
Yeah, solar flares. So basically, solar flares happen often, and they penetrate the Earth quite often as well. But usually when they penetrate the Earth, they hit our electromagnetic field along the outside of the Earth, and then they bounce up to the poles and they release the energy there, creating the aurora borealis, which goes through the RBG, like what you would see on your television screen. The RBG, like the different colors that then create the rest of the color spectrum. They go through the RBG and then they create the different aurora borealis. So in the 1800s, there was a solar flare that was so big that it penetrated through the electromagnetic field without being able to be blocked and brought to the poles. And when this happened, all the electricity went out. It was like a giant EMP wave. But at that point, there was only radio transmitters doing Morse code and that kind of deal. But since the 1800s, the sun's activity has been increased. You can actually look up the work of Dieter Bros. He did a great documentary called The Solar Revolution with top scientists on our planet. But the sun's activity is increasing. It's releasing loads of cosmic radiation, which up until our lifetime, I'm only 20 years old, so up until our lifetime, they actually thought cosmic radiation was bad for us, but recent studies are showing that cosmic radiation actually rapidly evolves all DNA. They did this test where they put a Japanese cherry tree seed in orbit, and they let it orbit the Earth a few times. They brought it back and they planted it, where it usually would take 7 years to fruit. It fruited within the first year. So rapidly revolves our DNA. So with this understanding, we understand that we're being released all this cosmic radiation at a pinnacle in our history, where it is imperative that we have this upgrade in our DNA, because we have brought ourselves into this domestic, fragile state of being, where we are becoming scrawnier, more susceptible to our natural environment. We shouldn't need sunblock and things like this when we go outside. It's because we've been bringing ourselves into these dwellings and all these sorts of things that we are becoming Homo domesticus fragilis. So, all that being said, the adamantine particles and the sun rays and the solar flares, there's been solar flares that are so big that they could have penetrated the Earth's electromagnetic field. The only thing is that they weren't aiming at the Earth. So if this were to happen, we'll be hit with a giant EMP pulse that will shut down all electronics. Everything electronic will be shut down. What does this mean? No more money for people, no internet for like a grip, like a lot of everything we're doing right now is running on electricity. Another awesome thing that they were studying about this is that the shift in the electromagnetic field on our planet, the electromagnetic field basically holds our consciousness. For those of you that don't know, our nervous system is an electrical circuitry. Our brain is basically the Wi-Fi antenna that connects our electrical circuitry of our consciousness to operate our biocomputer, which is our physical body. Whenever you change the electromagnetic field around a person's head, there's actually research that was done by Dr. J.J. Hertog. When you change the electromagnetic field around a person's head, different chemicals start to be produced inside of that person's brain, and they actually start to have a different perceptive reality. Experiences such as perceiving sound waves, synesthesia. We have synesthetic experiences during these phases of different electromagnetic fields around our consciousness. So if you think about this right now, the electromagnetic field is maintaining the consciousness of our homeostatic unity consciousness, what we consciously perceive as a steady normality of our reality, which is basically serotonin perception, is what I call it, because most psychoactive substances act on your serotonin receptors. So say we were producing lysergic acid or psilocybin instead of serotonin, that would be our normal perceptive reality. And if we were to take serotonin, it would be like a psychoactive experience, because that is something that is not in our immediate psychology. So with these shifts in electromagnetic fields, we see higher production of dimethyltryptamine in the brain, which brings people into a very, very heightened state of sensory perception. So that was the thing I was saying about the chemtrails. The adamantine particles are unbreakable particles, so they're trying to reflect them back away from us, because they would be rapidly evolving our brains and increasing the load of dimethyltryptamine from our pineal gland. At this point, most people's pineal glands are very ineffective or non-active. So I'm very curious to see what will happen if there was this electromagnetic pulse or electromagnetic field shift for the people that have these calcified pineal glands from this fluoridization or the fluoride poisoning that has been happening to America for some time. For those of you that don't know, all of our tap water is fluoride. Don't drink your tap water. The number one pollutant in tap water is, first of all, is toilet paper, so I don't know why you wouldn't want to drink that anyways. So yeah, the fluoride poisoning is also decreasing the amount of dimethyltryptamine that's being released into the brain, and we need to understand that this is what helps us maintain our childlike youth, our vitality, and live longer. Children think in quantum physics. If you ever have a very meditative experience, a psychoactive experience, a psychospiritual experience, you'll feel very youthful, you'll feel like a child again. And you'll understand that children are constantly perceiving this reality. And those of you that can remember into your youth, think about the far out thoughts that you had as a child, and then study quantum physics and relate that to what you were experiencing as a child. Very, very far out are the things that our children are experiencing. So commune with them and understand that they are not a child and not knowing. They need to be educated, not taught. And this is one thing that I will continue to say. I was brought to this awareness by John Darby. To teach is to be taught and to mold the mind. Think about the word taught, it's like a taut string. Creativity is loose and free form. If you want creative children, you do not teach them, you educate them, and you help them bring the knowledge from within. They are little adults in there. They have a mind of their own. Very, very conscious, very, very intelligent. So that's all I got to say. I'm trying to find where I'm going, so I'm just going to peace out for now.
What?
What is this machine? Is this a giant, like,
chipper?
So much wood.
Look at this massive construction.
I need to back in here. Hold up. I need to get the back end of this truck in here. Look at all that freaking soil. Like, that's so much energy.